Hello, my lovely friends. Welcome to the channel. Hi. How do I introduce my videos, Cal? Welcome back to my channel. It's Margaret. Welcome back to my channel. Something like that. Hi, I'm Margaret. This is my channel, and we're going to be talking about some Dark Academia books tonight because I decided that I was going to dip my toes in the water and see what I thought of this genre. And so I'm halfway through a reading project that y'all will see the rest of later. But we are here now. And I also, when I said I was doing this, had someone be like, hey, I want to read those books too, or some of them. And that is Cal.
When you said someone, I was like, who?
I wonder who she's talking about. There's no one. Is it Alex?
Literally like,
Alex?
Is it the dogs in my house? Like,
so I have a confession for you, Cal.
Okay.
Cassie, Briar, and I do have a book club.
I knew, you know what? Briar was using a lot of bigger words than usual. Something had to have been going on.
Yeah, we've been reading through the Percy Jackson books just because I think the girls would like that. We're going to do Hunger Games next. I feel like this is kind of age appropriate for them.
You know what? I really appreciate that you're getting them like acquainted with my childhood literary canon. That makes me very happy.
Nice. All right, so for anybody who might be stumbling upon this from, I don't know, they found another Dark Academia video and saw this, would you like to introduce yourself in case this is their first time on the channel and they've never heard of you before?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Cal. My channel is Retrieving Books. I talk about books and my golden retrievers.
The aforementioned Briar and Cassie.
Yeah, the ones that can read.
Yeah, well, I'm impressed that you've trained them to do that.
Yeah, no, they're pretty clever dogs.
Yep. So Cal and I are both doing BookTube beta. Cal has been doing a much better job than I have. I don't think Cal has missed an upload.
I have not.
Cal has been working on this since January, right?
December.
Mm-hmm.
I'm editing my final video today. Like I have the editor open right now. It's
nice. I have a video that's going up tomorrow and one that's going up Friday. I have missed, I think, 3 or 4 at this point.
That's really not that bad though.
But that's like I think the most I've done was the first beta in August of 2020. And I got 20 that year. So.
Oh, okay. So like you've only missed 10%. That's pretty great.
Yeah, I'm doing really well based on, because I have not hit that since the first beta. I have not gotten close to 20 since.
Well, and are your watch hours up? Like,
oh, my watch hours are up.
That's what's important, right?
They're at like over 100 hours more than what they usually are. So that's like, it's helping. And if I can just keep people working on this momentum, that would be great. We're going to be doing my TBR a little bit differently this month because I just don't have the energy to film that TBR.
Yeah.
So we'll do that a bit differently. But so today we are here. I've read about half of the books that I am reading for Baby's first Dark Academia vlog. Baby being me, in case anyone was confused about that one. So today we will be discussing Ace of Spades by Farida Ibike Iyemide. We will also be discussing. Did I say discovering the last time?
I don't know.
We will also be discussing The Atlas 6 by Olive Blake. And then we will be discussing Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. So I thought we could start maybe with general impressions of each book in the order that we read them.
Sure. Let's do that.
So that starts us at Ace of Spades, which I know you liked.
Yeah, it's a 5-star read for me. It made my best books of 2021. I have zero negative things to say about it. I thought it was a brilliant book and a brilliant piece for the genre.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love it.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. I liked a lot of the social issues that it tackled and highlighted in that book. Like, it very much was not written for me, but it was still accessible to me, if that makes sense. And I know part of that is because this isn't my first book that's tackled these issues that I've read, but I do think that it is rather accessible in regards to like there's a whole bunch of weird stuff that's going on in this book, and you don't have to be getting the greater context behind some of the things to still enjoy the book. It just makes it a whole heck of a lot more stressful if you.
Well, and I think that part of that book was creating an emotional response in every reader.
And it does. It does. I gave it 4 stars. I thought that Ibike Ayamide did it's Abike Iyamide, isn't it? Okay. I'm sorry. I thought that the author did a fantastic job of creating 2 very different characters and revealing the characters in 2 very different ways. I liked how we get to know Devin real fast, like real quick, like he's all out there.
I'm 99% sure it's Devon, by the way.
Devon, I'm sorry.
I know, it's just Devin.
We get to know Devon real fast, and I even listened to the audiobook, and I can tell you that you're right.
I'm like, no, he's not some like white kid from Kansas. It's Devon, I'm pretty sure.
It depends on who's. It truly does depend on the family, because I've had both. So I get those. I get kids with, and I
it's harder unless it's an I to know
in real life. But anyways, Devon, and then we have Chiamaka, who you don't really know her very well at the very beginning, and we kind of have to see all of those layers get like forcibly removed as the plot goes on in this book. So anyways, I really liked it. I thought it was really well done. And then the next one that we read together, which was official for this project, was The Atlas 6 by Olive Blake. I gave it 5 stars. It was so good.
Okay, so I gave it 4 stars. That's interesting. We're flipped on that. And I'll tell you the big reason why like the Atlas 6 got 4 and Ace of Spades got 5 is like I definitely need a stronger plot. And I think that this one, the pacing, I loved it, by the way, like made a video raving about it. Love it. Definitely love the Atlas 6, and I can't wait for the next one. It took too long for me to get to the plot. Like it took so much. Bye, bitch.
Keep talking. My computer's about to die because I forgot to plug her in.
It just took too long to like get to the crux of it. Like there was just like a lot of character motivation exploration in the first half of the novel. And I feel like you're saying with Ace of Spades, like that's not, we start with the plot and the characters are revealed over time. And I think that with the Atlas 6, she spends like the first half on the characters and the second half, like really building the plot. And so I was like, all right, like, can we get to it? And then we got to it and it was great. But like, I would have liked it to be faster.
It did take a while. I do agree with that. I personally, like, if it's well done.
And this
especially since I'm a character-driven reader and I can see why we were given, like, if I feel like everything that, like, the time that she, and I, obviously, so basically, I feel like the time that she took at the beginning, letting us get to know these, like, really get to know these characters as we go, and then taking her time kind of revealing the plot as she goes. Like, it's not necessarily like we start out and everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing. It's almost like the reader is having to piece together what's supposed to be happening along with the characters. And so because it's wrapped up so well for me at the end, I mean, it isn't, but it is. But because that, like, all, like, you have to kind of look back and see why we were giving that time, and the amount of time that was given was very intentional. Like that, I don't need the plot to have come in as quickly because it all as a whole works really well, in my opinion.
I think we could have had a few less chapters of Libby being like, should I break up with Ezra? Like, yes.
I mean, considering that that's her main, like, that's something that's happening all throughout the book. I mean, yeah, obviously, because I think she should have broken up with him in chapter, like, 3.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's her, like, main character struggle for most of the novel. And it's like, Libby, people have real problems.
Because I definitely thought that her insecurity and everything was her main character struggle. And for me,
that was
was connected to that. but it wasn't the main struggle.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. I just found her, like, I found particularly her and Tristan to have moved a bit slowly for my, you know.
Tristan, I kind of understood because he had no idea what he was doing.
He really did. Yeah. And I like him better than I like Libby. But I found that they were a bit slow moving for me. Whereas I feel like Nico, you get into like what's happening with Nico right away.
Really fast.
And I'm like, great, I like that. Also, Nico's perfect.
Yeah.
And then Parisa, you don't know her motivations really even still.
But you're still really like invested and interested in what's going on with her.
You get just enough every interaction with her, and it's really good. Whereas I felt like with Libby, we were doing the same thing for like the first half of the book, the entire time. I was like, I hate you.
That's so funny because like for me, Parisa was one of those characters that came in, and I was like, I don't know if I like you, but I could like you.
I like her.
Like it was her. It was Raina. I thought I liked Tristan right away, and then he started getting involved with Callum, and I was like,
okay, but then it's revealed that like that wasn't completely consensual. So.
Yeah. So it was really interesting to have like, because I feel like for the most part, each character kind of had their own plot that they thought they were going through, and then it turns out they're all part of this whole thing that's going on. And we're not going to get into too many spoilers just yet, in case you guys, I don't know why you would click on this video and then leave, because you don't want to be spoiled. But I mean, I respect that. I'm also someone who forgets spoilers very easily if I am not currently like actively invested in the book. All right, and then the last one that we read, which I should take my bookmark out of before I return to the library, was A Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. I read this, finished this today, and I still don't know how I feel about it. So the thing about contrasting this with the Atlas 6 is that the Atlas 6, there was a whole lot of like little stuff that you don't like. It's interesting and it's intriguing, and you don't know where it's going to lead or if it's important, but like you feel like some of it's important. You had that same feeling in Catherine House, where it's like, okay, here's a whole bunch of like little interesting, weird things that keep happening, and they all must have some greater meaning. And then the book ends the way it does, and I'm like, did anything have a greater meaning?
What I would say about Catherine House, to give it some kind of compliment throughout this video, I'll be sparing with them, but here's one. I think it was good dark academia in the sense that the school setting really interacted with the characters and was almost a character itself. I don't think the Atlas 6 did that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else about it was completely so much worse than the other two books that we're talking about.
See, I just think that this book left me reading feeling like why did I read this? What was the point of reading this?
Several hours for why?
Why did I give you 11 hours of my life if you're going? Because for me, the ending implied ambiguity, kind of, but I don't think it was really we know.
Well, it just kind of was like, oh, it's gonna keep going because she's like, I'll never tell. I'm like, why the fuck not?
Like it just was it. Well, we'll get into that if we get into spoilers. But the way it ended, we really didn't go anywhere. In my it's possible we didn't go anywhere, and I feel like that's a really weird thing to leave as an ambiguous ending. And I didn't like that. I wanted us to have some greater kind of meaning or something. It reminded me a lot, and River Solomon did this much better, but like of Sorrowland by River Solomon. It's a very similar, because they're both kind of based around cults, which is what Elizabeth Thomas based this around. But River Solomon does a much better job of giving you payoff as a reader for all of the weird shit that you just had to sit through. Because you're sitting like this entire book, I'm sitting there going, okay, I need to remember this for later. This is probably important. Like trying to put all of these pieces together because I know something is going on in this school, and then it ended
like really clearly one way or the other. I think
it should have, and I wanted more from the ending of Sorrowland, but I appreciated the ending that we had. In here, I wanted so much more than we got, and I also did not appreciate it, if that makes sense.
I completely agree. Yeah.
So, and Sorrowland is very much a horror. It's very different. There's a lot of body horror in that one, and there's a lot of discussion of Black and Indigenous trauma. And so, completely, but like it still had that same like weird, a whole bunch of stuff, experimentation stuff going on, and like people, you don't know what's in, the main characters trying to piece this stuff together while also trying to live their life.
But that's like almost like that was just a throw in really at the end of this book.
Like it was like, what was the point of having this plasm stuff in there? Like I thought that she was set up for some really interesting like commentaries on who gets access to higher education and stuff like that, and then we just went
I would have liked to see. I thought the way I thought it was going for a while was that she would become really indoctrinated and like really high up in it and like kind of be forced to like compromise her values, but no, we didn't get anything as interesting as that.
So anyways, it was odd, it was weird, and like not in a good way because of how it ended, I guess is what I'm saying. Like
I agree.
It kind of felt like we ended before the actual story ended.
I ended up giving it 2 stars. I know you haven't decided yet, right?
I haven't. I want to read some reviews because I did listen to I was listening to the audiobook. So I did listen to an interview with the author, and she did talk a lot about how part of it was based on her college experience, but also part of it was she was talking about cults. Like she's legitimately talking about cults, and that like considering the fact that like every podcast that's my favorite podcast likes to talk about cults at some point, like it's a very realistic experience based on what I know from what actual people have gone through in cults. I just like didn't like the ending kind of made it feel like I just went through all of that for nothing, I guess. And so I want to see more about like what her interpretation or what she meant with the ending was. Because I got a definite, like, based on the cues that we get at the very last, I got a definite impression of what was going on. But I
almost don't even really care if it's supposed to be smart.
Yeah.
Because it was still so boring.
Yeah. Well, it's not even like, it was basically like we see her escape, but she didn't really escape, almost is kind of what's implied.
But we don't know that for sure, right? Like I think it would have been really good to know. Yeah. I was expecting, well, I won't say it, but you know.
Yeah. Anyways, and it doesn't have a sequel. So like it's not one of those situations where like something weird happens and there's another book coming out, which I could have forgiven. Like that would have been a really interesting way to end this book. And I've definitely read like dystopians and stuff that end that way.
No, could you imagine if we had to sit through another 11 hours of her being like, oh, I kept wandering around and I couldn't find my classes. Like, oh my God, girl.
That was so funny. I was just like,
get it together.
She's like, I have nowhere else to go, but also I'm not doing any of my coursework. I'm going to get kicked out.
But I really don't want to leave, but I'm also not going to go to class. I'm like, I literally cannot relate to you at all.
And like, there was definitely vibes of like, she's going through depression and PTSD that I got from there, but still it was really weird. And like, also apparently like, or no, not apparently, like it was really funny because I picked up on the cult angle pretty quickly because I'm sitting there like listening to this and going, this is Scientology. This sounds like Scientology, you know, like especially the sessions they would have. So, having read these 3, and I don't know, you may have read other Dark Academia. Well, I know you have because you've read a couple of the books that I'm going to be reading. So what are your thoughts on Dark Academia as a whole? Well, I guess maybe it would help if we defined what Dark Academia was.
Yeah, why don't you do that for me, and then I'll tell you.
Okay. So let's see. So the official thing is, let's see, what does the Wikipedia say? It says, Dark Academia is a social media aesthetic and subculture concerned with higher education, writing/poetry, the arts, and classical Greek and Gothic architecture. The subculture is associated with ancient art and classic literature. And I think we've seen, not necessarily in Ace of Spades, which is kind of borderline almost like more thriller than Dark Academia.
I think it's there actually, because I think it poses the question, is the genre kind of racist, right? Like in what it idealizes.
So I think we also see some weird like experimentation and secrecy in regards to like science, and in the case of the Atlas 6, magic, in the genre of dark academia. I haven't read, I still have 3 other books that I need to read. I know one of them does, I believe, involve magic, and the other 2 I think are probably more academic. But it was very interesting. So, what are your thoughts of the genre?
I have liked most of what I've read. I haven't read any of the like classics, like The Secret History or whatever.
I've heard.
I don't really want to.
I don't either.
It's
kind of racist.
Yeah, so. I'm good. I really, really liked If We Were Villains and Ninth House. I like them a lot. Catherine House has been the only one that I really like, just didn't like. It's interesting for me because I love school. So I don't think I relate to dark academia in the sense that like I had a very positive experience, but I also I think the one I relate to the most, or like the one that feels the most real to me. No, the one I related to the most was If We Were Villains, because there's bisexual panic out the wazoo of that book. But like the one that felt the most real to me was Ace of Spades, and what I know about the way that like institutions treat Black people, right? Because like I did a lot of that for my, I did West African history for my degree, and I've done a lot of research into like race construction and racism and stuff. So like I understand, like to me that one was like the smartest and the one that like I resonated with the most based on my education, and like also based on the way that I've seen institutions treat my Black mentors, like in school. Like so it was very obviously like, but in general, like I don't know, like, and I know this is definitely a privileged thing for me to be saying, but like I just can't, like I don't sit there and like relate to like the stress and the like cutthroatedness, because I was always like, I'll just do well. I don't know, and like that is a privileged thing to say, but I like maybe it's the autism where I just like wasn't worried, like I wasn't pressed. But I can even remember, you know, like showing up at an exam and everyone's sitting outside the exam room like studying, and I'm sitting there reading a comic book because I just wasn't pressed, you know, like I just knew I was confident in my ability. Like, so I think that if for you looking back on university is like a really stressful time, I think maybe you'd get more out of dark academia in that sense.
Yeah.
Whereas I look back on university and be like, oh man, I wish I was still there because it was so straightforward having assignments and trying to get the best grade. Like
I kind of miss that.
It's a very like, it's not the easiest way to live, but it is a very straightforward purpose to your life.
Yeah. I feel like I thrived in an academic setting.
So do I.
Partly because I was not having to fully support myself. My parents were partly because my parents were supporting me. So there's a lot of that, but also because I do really well when I have assignments and hard concrete deadlines. And I was able to, like, I went into a field that I was interested in and was able to do a lot of electives. There wasn't a lot that I had to do that I wasn't, like, I didn't have to do any math when I was at university or any of that stuff.
I hate electives. Just let me take history.
Yeah, well, that was it. That's like almost all of my electives I took as literature classes.
Yeah, which is different. Yeah.
So I did enjoy this. I thought it was interesting because Catherine House, Elizabeth Thomas specifically, like she definitely could have gone the, hey, this is how dark academia treats Black people and other people of color. She could have. And she said she specifically wanted to create kind of like this academic utopia.
I got that sense where it was very like everyone was pretty queer. Everyone was very,
and it was intentional on her part, and also it was partly based off of like she was talking about how with Jonestown, he was also very much about like,
yes, he was, yeah,
he was very much about bringing. Now, a lot of that had to do with power dynamics. It wasn't necessarily from an altruistic point of view.
Well, it's a great recruitment tactic.
But yeah, but like because they like for him, it was more like these are people who would need his help to some extent, but he did do a good job of creating a diverse cult.
That's the
And
very
so
much the same with this book, though, is that she
Yeah, that's
very
what they
much
were doing.
targeted people who had nowhere else to go.
Had nowhere else to go. And I love the fact that we did discuss that in Catherine House.
Mhm.
Um,
I thought it was really cool because this is set in 96.
Yeah.
So obviously not a time probably when it would have been like super comfy to be like
Yeah.
an out queer person in your dorm room as an 18-year-old.
Mhm.
And she definitely had no qualms about being like, I'm gonna fuck through this entire university.
school.
And I was
everyone.
like, get it, Inez. But that was the only part where I was like, yeah, Inez, you can get it.
Literally everyone. Everyone I can convince.
I was like,
Yeah.
get it, and then get to class. Holy shit. Like,
And don't get it in the kitchen. That's unsanitary. That's a whole different. Like, that's another really weird scene that I'm like, what was the point of that scene? What was the point of it?
what was the point of a lot of things?
Like, anyways, so far I liked it. I think again, Catherine House, I would have liked to have a little bit more purpose in the plot and what was going on. But I really, really liked Atlas 6, and I enjoyed Ace of Spades as well. So I think like because it's so character driven, I think it's going to be a genre that really works well with me.
I would almost say that out of the three of them, though, Atlas 6 is like the least dark academia.
Yeah.
I think that's the way I felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
That it almost felt more like the competition aspect of it. Like,
interesting, because that's one of the ones that's like held up as a it's like a new classic of dark academia almost.
I could be wrong. I'm just like, out of like the several that I've read, to me that one felt the most different, like the most like removed from it. And I think
focused on the characters and less on the setting.
That's probably it for me. Like, the aesthetic to me like wasn't there because we were spending so much time like in their brains and like with. So, and it's not a bad thing because like I think the opposite. Like Catherine House, the setting was great, but like, oh my god, I don't want to care. I don't care that she's here kissing the ground because she loves it so much. Like, I'm done. Yeah, so I think I had a really good image in my head of Catherine House. I had a really good image in my head of like the theater in If We Were Villains and Yale in Ninth House and stuff. And I don't think I had a great idea of where they even like really were in the Atlas 6.
Yeah, I think the Atlas 6, I think more leans on the whole secret society aspect.
Right.
Where like they are in fact in the secret society, where a lot of these like they're on the outside of the secret society, if that makes sense.
And they're also all like postgraduates at this point, right? Like they've all, so part of the dark academia thing is that you're taking like fresh-blooded 18-year-olds and throwing them in this world. These are all people that have already graduated, and people like Parisa and Callum, for example, are like already like cutthroat, hardened, like ready to. It's only really Libby and Nico that are like, whoa.
Parisa and Callum were almost like born that way to some extent.
Well, I think only Callum. Yeah, I think Parisa probably has a soft side underneath it all.
Parisa was still like she went through some shit and was a hard motherfucker.
Right.
Around 17, 18.
Yeah, right. You know, whereas I feel like I think if it had been only from Libby or Tristan or Nico's perspective, maybe we would have got that. But since we got all 6 of them, like Callum and Parisa especially really do not give off the like the doe-eyed freshman in a dark academia book.
Yeah, I also think that they're not there for that. Like the ones that were there for the academia were Nico and Libby.
Raina. Well, Raina specifically.
So like that was like, I think like based on the setting and like what the plot is and the whole secret society aspect, I think that's what kind of puts it in that that genre. I do think that that's an interesting point, that like Callum and Tristan and Parisa aren't necessarily there for, like, they're there for what they can get from it, but it's not for academic reasons.
Right. Yeah.
So
and like even Libby and Nico were there to compete with each other.
Yes, but they were also there because they were fucking nerds.
Yeah, they're huge nerds.
They absolutely, like, they created a black hole in a the society. Like they were there to see what they could do. And I think when you're talking about like a magic setting, I think that is like kind of what was going on there. Because I think it's a little bit different, and I think part of why it's different is because the magic setting is there. Versus where we have the weird plasm experiments that are going on with Catherine
Which
Howe.
was never well explained or defined.
I don't think it was meant to be well explained. I don't think you have to like have a hard explanation for everything in your novel, but like have it have
a purpose. Give us the twist that you gave us. I'm like, well, we need to see evidence that that's fucking even. I don't know. I guess there was. But
like there needed to be more of like we needed to see more versus having Victoria come in and
we went from like A to K instead of like A to B, you know what I mean?
Like just like I was expecting okay, so I guess we're getting into this, but I was expecting for them to have brought Baby back from the dead at some point.
Well, and they kind of did.
They did, but we don't see her out. Like I was expecting her to end up out and about like Sandy was.
Yeah.
And like actually have some impact. But we get to know this character. She has this tragic ending, and then we know that she is there, but there's no wrap up of that.
It's implied that she sees her in the case, but that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. Like we just know that she's in the case.
That's fucking disappointing. Like a really big emotional moment we could have had.
Yeah, and I was expecting more of that from that.
Also, Baby's fucking awful, okay?
Baby was so annoying.
I was like, oh, she's dead. Oh, no. All right. On to Yaya, who is a way better best friend character. Way better.
Really funny, because I was just like, Baby doesn't even seem like she likes you.
Baby hated her. She was awful to her.
Why do you guys think you're such good friends?
Also, like, Baby is the kind of like stage 5 clinger that like she told everyone her sister was dead because her sister moved to Toronto. And she took that personally. Like,
yeah, I was just like, what the heck is going on with you, child? Yeah. And like, she killed the snail versus hiding it. I was just like, this.
Or releasing it the whole time. The whole time Inez was like, you could just like, you know, put it in the fucking garden. Like,
like it was just like, why did you panic? Why did you panic about this? Like,
I couldn't with Baby. I also like, again, just don't relate to it. Like I have to study all night. I'm like, no, you don't. Go to one party. Like fuck.
I would study, but then when the day of the test hit, unless there was something specific that I was like, I want to refresh this in my memory because I know I'm shaky on it. What I knew when I like day of test, what I knew was what I knew. I was like, I'm not going to learn anymore. Cramming right up until the time I take the test. I have done everything I can, and what will happen will happen.
The other thing that solidified me for Baby, like being a Baby hater, was okay. So they're talking.
Baby.
No, that's fine. I don't care. But she was like, I'm going to study plasm and I love plasm and plasm's the best. And she's never even worked with it. And then she's like, oh, Inez, what are you going to do? And Inez was like, I don't know, like maybe botany. And she's like, botany? That's stupid. I'm like, at least it's real. Like, fuck you, baby. Like,
at least it's real and it's got practical applications based on versus this plasm thing being like
that
something
you've never even studied. Like,
that can only be done on this university.
Like, don't hate on botany, okay? We need botanists. Shut up, baby.
Like, I mean, if you were able to bring someone back from the dead and do all the stuff that like you saw happening with plasm, I was like, okay, I get it. I believe plasm is real. Now what?
But she wouldn't have known that. Like,
so yeah. Well, I am assuming that like because a lot of their research was public, they do mention that. So I am assuming that people have seen some of the experiments that they have done to an extent that like there are definitely skeptics because the skeptics are not there in the room and you definitely going like that could all be smoke and mirrors, but there are also people who've seen it and been like, okay, but like we have this capability to use this to heal wounds, to repair things, to do this, that, and the other thing. So like to some extent stuff is known about plasm. It just was one of those things that was like, okay. But what was the point?
We get it. Plasm.
What was the point?
What
was the point of the entire book?
Plasm. It's coming for us.
Yeah. So, okay. So I think we ended up reading like 3 very different books.
Such different books.
Because like we have Ace of Spades, it's very much like very real and grounded in the real world.
Yeah.
And like there's definitely like there's a conspiracy, but it's a proven conspiracy that we have seen happen time and time again in history.
Yeah.
You know, because people don't want to be, I mean, it's one of those things that like trying to keep people out only makes them want to get in more, especially when it's something that like everyone should have access to, like a good education, you know?
I almost feel like of the 3 secret societies, like that was the one that just like, I was like, oh yeah, that's out there.
Yeah, that was like it was so funny because I know from the beginning of Ace of Spades, and for those of you that haven't read Ace of Spades, like Ace of Spades it's 2 Black kids who are in a mostly white high school, like they're the only 2 people of color in the school, and they start getting very threatening text messages from this user called named Anonymous that like
Aces.
they're trying to Aces, sorry. They get from this anonymous person called Aces, and they are trying to figure out because Aces is blackmailing them.
And only the 2 of them.
And only the 2 of them.
It takes them a little too long, in my opinion, to be like, wait, is it because we're Black? Because you know, like, I was like, my first, I was like, uh-oh. Like, but.
See, I could see that with Chiamaka, with Devon. I was like.
Yeah, because Chiamaka is like wealthy. She's biracial. She's like a bit more like removed from her identity, I think. Or like she tries to remove herself from her identity in order to be the queen bee.
There is a lot that you can see her trying to be like, specifically as like she's really taking advantage of, I believe her mom, no, her dad's the white one, right? He's Italian.
Yeah, he's Italian.
So she's trying to take advantage of that side of her family and really leverage that.
But Devon comes from like a predominantly Black neighborhood, and he has to code switch a lot. So for me, I was like, Devon, this should have been. It's is it Terrell or Terrence? The boyfriend.
I believe it's Terrell.
Terrell, yeah, he's like, you guys might consider that it's because you're both Black, like, and Terrell guesses it right away once, and I was like, yeah, that was my like, but
yeah, and that's an interesting one because a lot of the time situations aren't apparent when you are in them, but still, true. It was like.
Yeah, and I guess maybe like we know it's a thriller. Their characters in the thriller.
We know it's a thriller. Yeah. We kind of know where things were going, but like I think if they had not been as keyed into the modern world, it might have worked.
And I guess also because
but Devon is on Twitter. Like he's been seeing the hashtags and all of the other. He has to have.
I guess like also Devon is gay, so there's like also the like he's a double minority in that way. So it's kind of like this could be literally about anything about me in this school of awful people.
And the thing he is most worried about is the fact that he's gay because no one knows.
He doesn't think he has.
So that does make sense thinking back on that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, we have that's in the more traditional academic setting. Then we had the Atlas 6, which was in kind of an academic setting, but it was a very like mysterious, magical, kind of almost TARDIS-esque kind of setting. Like they're separated from time and space and all of that. Like they're not just removed from society. They're in a completely isolated magically.
It's set on an alternate Earth where like the course of the economy is determined by like a percentage of the population that uses magic. So yeah,
I wish our economy was determined by a percentage of the population that uses magic. I feel like we'd be better off.
I guess that's better than the percentage of the economy that's related to billionaires and historical landowners. So yeah. At least that's more randomized.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was I thought that I think for me, like Atlas 6 had the most interesting kind of setup and setting to me because you had that magic element and you were learning about the magic.
But what setting though?
They were in a library the entire time.
Yeah, I just feel like it wasn't like a really interactive setting. And even like they're like, oh yeah, this is what we're doing for classes this month, and then they like never showed them doing that. They're never like in class. Like I was like, all right.
They were in class several times. Like we had several discussions that happened during class. I remember them.
I just didn't feel like, I just felt like that was missing compared to.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, same thing with, I don't feel like Catherine House had, like, she
Well, no,
never
because
went
bitch
to
didn't go to
class.
class.
She never went to class. I feel like we were up inside her head the entire time and not a lot happened.
It was exhausting. Whereas Ace of Spades is like very in the school. If We Were Villains, it's a Shakespearean theater program and they're always acting. So it's like they're literally obnoxiously theater kids all the time. And
I can't wait to see how close that is to my theater experience, because like I spent most of my time in the theater building when I was
so you probably will like relate to some of the like you'll like be like, oh, I knew several of you. But then and then Ninth House, it's not so much about the classes, but it's about the like campus life. And to me, it did a good job of that, because it's like the societies on campus rather than the actual like school itself. But, and I think that did a great job.
I think that Catherine House was much more about like the cultish nature, and then like the dorm living. Like she was very much like, I kind of wanted to go back to that dorm living kind of thing that was going on. Yeah, I was like, okay, I guess you got that.
I feel like it would have been a bit better if it wasn't just Inez.
Yeah. I feel like it would have been a bit better if she had taken the things that she planted and actually like expanded and done something. Like this book could easily have had another couple of points of view and another 100 pages and a better kind of mystery type thing. Because even though like Atlas 6 has a sequel, we still get some wrap up of what is going on in that book.
We know where things stand. We know more than the characters know.
Yeah.
I think too, like Inez just wasn't a character with a lot of agency, and I understand that that's part of the cult thing, but like even in situations that like weren't related to the cult, she just didn't have any agency. Like she only made the choice to go to school because she had to. She didn't actually do the bad thing that she said she does. It just kind of happened to her. Like she just kind of drifts aimlessly around. She didn't have anything to do with anything that happened to Baby. She didn't have to do with any of the things that like she makes one big decision the entire novel, and that ends up fucking everything over. But like even the decision that causes the ending of the book, she did not make. Like Yaya made it. Like
yeah. And then what was the point? Because like it is heavily implied that she gets out of there, and when she gets, after she's escaped, the last page is her listening to the click of these heels, which we have had described on Victoria multiple times, and then the doors open, and it's just one of those things that I'm like, why would you leave it there?
Yeah.
What was the point if we were going to go through all that for her to just end up right there again?
Yeah. It doesn't seem likely to me that Yaya would have done that to her, because Yaya was like very anti the school. Like
I don't think Yaya did that to her. I think that like Victoria figured it out.
I would think so, right? Because like Yaya was never brainwashed at all.
Yeah, no, because like I feel like either what's his face, Sunny, Bunny, whatever, or Gloria ratted them out. And like in my mind, like one interesting like twist would have been if Gloria had been Victoria the entire time. Did we do that? No. But like I was expecting when she got taken in for her to agree to go into the plasm, like to go into new materials, and like that was going to the end of the book was going to be about her fucking shit up. Yeah, and I was just like,
no,
like
but again, that would have given her any agency or any direction at all. She went into art history because someone was like, "Oh, you like your art history class?" And she's like, "All right, I'll go into art history." Like that, like she never made
an accurate college thing, but
no.
Oh my god, do you know how many people like? Oh yeah, I liked this one class one time, so I guess this is my major now because I didn't go into college knowing what I wanted to do. That's very common. Not everyone knows that they want to study the Civil War in the United States when they go to college.
And I didn't do that and ending up doing that. But I studied a civil war, just not that one. But
it's a very odd hobby for a Canadian, anyways.
I just like civil wars. What can I say? Except the Marvel movie. It's not a good one.
So, okay. So, you've read Ninth House and If We Were Villains. How did these two kind of compare a little bit to those, or these three compared to those two?
So, the other two are more queer. Like If We Were Villains and Ninth House is more queer. And I feel like I enjoy the dark academia when it's queer. Like it, so I did like that aspect of oh, they're all queer books. What am I talking about? No, they're all really queer. But okay, they're all really queer. I was just thinking like, yeah, no, they're all really queer. I don't know what I was forgetting.
What books we were talking about?
I was like, no, like Ninth House, like Alex is bi, I think, bi or pan. And oh my god, the entire premise of If We Were Villains is that these two boys are so fucking chicken about their feelings about each other.
That tracks.
That he's literally like, I will. No.
Don't spoil it for me. I'm going to be reading it soon. I do care about spoilers in this case.
No.
But like, how do you feel the settings and the types of characters that we encounter compare?
Catherine House and If We Were Villains felt more similar in that most of the characters, I think, were pretty shitty people.
Yeah.
A Ninth House, I think, is more like Ace of Spades and Atlas 6, in that like you're actually then genuinely rooting for the characters a lot of the times. Well, I was always rooting for the characters in Ace of Spades, obviously, and some of the characters in the Atlas 6. Some of them.
Ace of Spades is just stressful because I was like, I understand that the reason you're making these decisions are because you are teenagers and your frontal lobe is not fully developed, but you're stressing me out. You need an adult.
I don't know that I could have done any better with my fully developed frontal lobe.
I just was like, you need someone who is not you. You need help from people who have more power than you do.
They tried.
But like the fact that they didn't even try going to their parents at all. Like I understand to some extent why Devon did not.
Yeah, if that was Chiamaka, I definitely would have.
Chiamaka, I would have gone to my mother and be like, so Mom, there's some racist stuff happening right now to me and this other dude.
It is kind of wild. Yeah. No, I would have, like, personally, but I still don't think, I can't blame them for the way they handled
it. Like, I get that her dad was slightly dismissive because he was white and didn't get it, but like, that's why you go to the parent that's going to be on your side first and you let them work on the stupid parent.
I think, like, I think Ninth House is very rooted in its character. Like they're both really rooted in their characters too.
Was there anything surprising about the three that we read or anything about the three that you reread that surprised you?
Yeah, how bad Catherine House was. That was my biggest surprise. I was like really excited about it. I
I've heard really good things about it.
Okay. Yes, I was surprised with the threesome, the almost threesome in the Atlas 6.
I mean, I feel like it was heavily implied that there was a threesome and then it became a twosome.
Yes, yeah, and I was surprised that was tagged as poly. Actually, it makes me think that people fundamentally misunderstand polyamory. Because having a threesome does not make you polyamorous. That means that one time you had a threesome. You know what I mean? I
think it's kind of like the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah, but it definitely, like, Carissa then never dealt with that again. She was like, all right, on to the next. Like, she didn't, like, it's not like her and Libby were, like, making out every day. Tristan and Libby, I think, were more definitely connected.
Yeah.
I was
I liked them. They were
I was
cute.
definitely surprised with how attached I felt to Nico and Nico's storyline. I love that Nico's storyline was kind of like, okay, they're all in this competition to the death, and I'm just over here with my half mermaid, half satyr friend, like trying so hard. Like his story, and it's gonna come, like it's going to connect, right? Like there's obviously going to be some big connection. But
somehow
like
it's connected.
Nico was just over here in gay dreamland doing his own thing the whole book, and I was like, Nico, like,
I think a lot of like there were just single lines in the Atlas 6 that really just got me. Like there would be stuff that would be said, and I'm just like, "Ooh, that's a good line."
yeah, she's a good writer.
And then I did like it was really like I obviously was attached to like Libby and Nico right away from the get-go. I was like, these two idiots want to murder each other. I'm into it.
You'd like Libby too. I knew.
I'm just like, these two, like, they're so obsessed with each other right now. They need to sit back and like.
You know what? She's definitely a Capricorn for sure.
That's probably why she's so annoying.
Yeah.
I think the way that things went down at the ending did like I kind of pegged some of it. I didn't peg like how it was going to happen, but like I knew Atlas was pulling some strings and some other stuff was going on. I was surprised by how like central Dalton I feel is going to be. And I was really surprised by the Ezra reveal. Like that was
you have so many theories about Dalton, and I hardly thought about him at all. I was like, oh, he's cute. Like I like him. And
I literally latched on to one detail and was like,
you ran.
Oh, I like is going to be important.
It went in one ear out the other for me while I was busy thinking about other stuff. But you were like really, and I was like, oh, okay. But like I definitely,
I didn't mean it physically.
I knew who it was when it happened with Ezra. Like because of that one time Tristan encounters him.
Oh yeah. So, I knew that. I was like, oh shit, now Ezra's gonna get involved. I thought he was gonna end up being involved in the Atlas 6. And
I definitely did not think it was what it was. Like,
yeah, I know, right? Like
I didn't think he turned out to be cool.
Like, I knew like the minute the thing with Libby happens, I was like, I think this has to be Ezra. And then when they go, oh, you could tell that whoever it was she was screaming at, she knew. I was like, then it's definitely Ezra. And then completely, like, you have this entire book that you're like developing a very specific, like, idea of this character and who he is and what his motivations are and why every interaction with Libby that he has is the way it is. And then you learn this thing about him, and you're like, oh, this has nothing to do with what I thought it had to do with anything. I think you did such a good
job because, like, they make you trust Nico a lot, right? Like, and Nico is a trustworthy character, but he obviously is missing a lot of information about Ezra. So his opinion of Ezra really informs your opinion of Ezra.
And, like, he is right to think that Ezra is a creep.
Yeah, he's like, Ezra's lame. Ezra's kind of a creepy, like, you could do better. And you're like
I will stand by the fact that Ezra is a bad boyfriend because like every time he's talking to Libby, like he's putting her down and like talking like you don't know how to handle he doesn't believe that she knows how to handle herself. And I think if he had believed it for even just a little bit, like she actually could have been more influential, I feel, in what happened.
And I mean, yes, he is a bad boyfriend because he got with her with extreme ulterior motives.
Yes.
But like obviously
I don't think that was necessarily like purposeful. I think that because of the situation, he started hanging out with her
and then
ended up falling for her. So that didn't creep me out as much as it could have. But still at the same time, I was just like, if you had trusted her just a little bit, like just a little bit to give her some of the information that you had that she doesn't, we would have had a very different book.
Well, I think that was a lot of the people would have done really well to trust Libby.
Yeah.
Because she's so exhausting to be around. They were like, we're not going to tell you anything.
Like, it's funny. The only person that's not exhausted to be around her is Nico. And he has a very, like, I don't think he sees her full potential more than she does, but I don't think he sees her as capable as she is, because she doesn't see herself as capable.
Well, that, and because she I think Nico is very like self-aware of his abilities, so I think he's very much able to like be like, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm not. I don't have to like really strive to be better at the things that Libby does better than me.
That was so funny when she's just like, I'm in competition with Nico, and Nico is just like,
where's Gideon?
he's what? I mean, I hate her because she's annoying, but like it didn't have
almost kind of how Nico is actually the better competitor. Like Libby might be a stronger magician, but he's the better competitor because he's not thinking about her. He's like,
he's not bothered. Like he's
I'm not
you are in competition with one person, sweetheart. Like that was,
but
so
actually
funny.
She really is, because he's never doing, and that's why it's so funny that the first chapter is all about how terrible Nico is, and the rest of the book it's like solidifying that Nico is kind of the only really trustworthy character. Like
the only trustworthy character, and the only one that really sees Libby as she is.
Yeah,
which is part of what I liked about their dynamic, because like she's got so much insecurity, and he's just like, dude, you got this to some extent. Like,
yeah,
you could be so much better. Like, you're so much better than you think you are.
I still don't want her to be with him though. To me, like, I know you do, and I knew you would, but like, I still think that she's actually better matched with Tristan, because Tristan's like, listen, you're annoying when you like worry so much. Like, just get over it, and like, you're great. Like, just whatever, be confident, right? And I think that she needs somebody that she doesn't feel like she's in competition with at all. And like, I like that.
That's what I want to get her to see her get to the point where she's like, oh, I don't have to be in competition with Nico. We can work together. Like we are.
I do want them to work together. I think they could be really good best friends, but
yeah. Like, I'm sorry, I was sitting there thinking, okay, maybe like her. I mean, besides the fact that obviously everyone's going to end up with everyone else in this book, except Callum, who deserves.
Except Callum, we're going to get my ideal dreamland. My ideal dream world is where we kill Callum and give Ezra the chance to be a member.
With Ezra Callum's spot, but there is one line that happens between Libby and Nico, and I'm just like, she put that line in there for a reason, and it is very much like your very stereotypical romantic line.
No, he's gonna fuck Gideon. Listen,
I'm not saying he's not gonna fuck Gideon too. I just think that there's enough Nico for all of them.
Convincing bisexual, okay? He's like, they're all like, oh, come on, like, everyone wants to fuck Parisa, right? And he was like, oh, yeah, yes, yeah, no, yeah, I want to definitely. Parisa's so beautiful. Parisa's so Gideon. Like, no. Okay.
There are multiple times where he considers sleeping with Parisa.
But like, I'm just saying he's gonna end up with Gideon. That's no. It's it is what it is.
This is my magpie. This is my magpie.
No, this is my magpie. Because I'm the one that's right.
Oh,
that was so good. Oh my god, did you know I spoiled that for Brie? Because she hasn't actually read that book yet. And I was like, remember when I was right about Evie in and she was like, I haven't read that yet. And I was like, oh.
But you were right about Evie. So okay, so I still have 3 more books to read. There will be a vlog at some point eventually, but I needed a video for today.
Mine is tomorrow. My vlog comes out tomorrow.
For the Dark Academia stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good for you. Did you finish all of the books we said we were going to read, or just the 2?
Just the 2. I'm going to read Foul's Fair another time. I'm not attached to the idea of reading it. I want to wait until you're going to read it.
Yeah. Well, I am reading Tristan Strong, and then I think I'm going to go on to If We Were Villains, because I've really been looking forward to that one.
I love it so much, and I'd rather just wait to Buddy read it and then just enjoy you reading If We Were Villains.
Yeah. So, I'm sure I will be yelling at you about that one, but like I feel like I probably will put Ninth House between or something between the 2 of them, because I know they're both based on Shakespeare.
It's not Shakespeare back to back.
Hit me with the Bard.
Yeah. Oh, kinky.
I did that in college. That was
Beat Me Daddy 3 to the Bard.
Yeah, well, it was mostly just Hamlet. It was a whole lot of Hamlet. So much Hamlet. I did one semester that would like have the first half of the class every single, because it was my screen, or not my script, my scene analysis class. The first half of the class that semester, every single thing was linked back to Hamlet. Do you know how many times I had to reread Hamlet? Because every time you had to read through looking for other stuff.
Like, Professor, there have been.
It's like Dr. Pinkney, I appreciate that you are not making us buy 75 plays, but I physically want to set this classroom on fire right now.
No, but it also comes to the point where it's like, okay, not only English people from Elizabethan Stratford wrote plays, okay?
Yes.
Like,
I mean, he had other plays in the no, don't get me wrong. Dr. Pinkney was a gay black man. He was very good about making sure that his classes were intersectional.
Great.
Like he was my teacher. He's the one that they had to teach the not the diversity, like it wasn't necessarily diversity in theater, but it was like social movements in theater.
Gotcha.
And he did a fantastic job with that class because he made sure that we covered Native American theater, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't remember, because I remember specifically Black and Native American theater, and then some other stuff that was going on. We did Madame Butterfly and I can't remember whether it was queer or Asian American theater. Might have been both.
Queer Asian American theater.
Something like that.
If you can put an identity on it, there's been theater about it. Let's just say that.
Well, that was part of it, is because so many social movements end up starting in the theater. Like the theater is, if like you don't necessarily know it, especially if all you're looking at are Broadway musicals.
Right.
But like theater as a whole is actually much more, it's more diverse than Hollywood is. Let's put it that way. It's not perfect, it's more diverse. Mean,
one of my favorite African authors consistently got arrested in Kenya for putting on his plays in Kikuyu instead of English. Like,
yeah, and it was really interesting because he really did a good job of solidifying the fact that, like, you know, people would turn to the theater as a way of expressing themselves. And a lot of the time, part of the reason why theater has such a strong link with marginalized communities is because that was the place that they were safe to make their own content.
So you're going to love it when you read The Gay Panic and If We Were Villains.
So, but yeah, so he had us read more than just Shakespeare. It was just, he explained it at one point, but the specific things that we were doing, like he just had us reuse Hamlet for very, like, looking at various different things, and then we moved on and did a whole bunch of other plays.
Okay.
But it was just like the first half of
I've had to read plays in German. And let me tell you, whenever anyone's like, yeah, Spring Awakening, I'm like, ha 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 ha! Like, no!
Did you read it in the German?
Yes.
Wasn't Spring Awakening originally in German?
Yes, yeah. Fröhlich Erwachen.
I believe we did talk about that one in some of my classes, like the original, not the musical, but the original.
It's so bad.
I never had to read it.
It's so bad, okay? Yeah. It's just like...
Well, you have to keep in mind that it's a German play about children not getting about the poor state of sex education in Germany, where there was very poor sex education.
No, I understand that, but the fact that they turned it into like a Broadway musical is tacky when it's like he rapes her, she gets pregnant, and then dies from her miscarriage. Or like he kills himself because he's gay. Like why are you making that into like a pop musical? Like that's
interesting, because I think at least in the musical,
they changed it.
They changed it to be a romantic relationship.
Right. No, it's not romantic. He rapes her. Like it's not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about improving upon the original, I guess.
And then but he's still like the main character.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, she's dead now. I'm so sad. I'm like, you did that to her, buddy. Like, you killed her. Fuck. I don't know.
I did not know that. I'm like, so it's funny because somebody was talking about the Diana musical and how you shouldn't do tragic things as a musical. I was like, you can absolutely do tragic storylines as a musical.
The good ones are.
It's how you treat them.
Yeah, and like what kind of music are you? You're doing like a fun pop soundtrack to somebody's trauma. Like that's not great. Like
yeah, and like the Pirate Queen. It's by the same people who did Les Mis, and it's about a woman whose life was very tragic, and it severely completely fictionalizes her life, and like characters exist. Like it's a much better story than her real life was, to some extent. Although her real life was fascinating, but it was still one of those things that they still made sure to put the beats in there to make it clear what they were saying, and that like there was like really looking at how this woman's life was. But that's neither here nor there with what we were trying to discuss, because I got distracted by Shakespeare. So anyways, Cal, do you want to plug any videos at all?
Well, like I said, my vlog of her reading Catherine House and the Atlas Six comes out tomorrow. It's like 75% the Atlas Six and like 20% me being like, I'm really bored. And then 5% is my outro. So there's that.
Okay.
Yeah. I also today, if you've seen the new Heartstopper show, I released a video today recommending books for if your favorite character is Nick Nelson, which should be.
What if my favorite character is Charlie?
You would choose an Earth sign.
No, I have no idea as of yet.
That's fine. Charlie is a great character and a really nuanced character with like a lot to him. He's just like also like very like high strung and like anxious and so like Nick is like the cinnamon roll sunshine, like,
oh, I love him already.
Yeah, he's amazing. And it's not that Charlie's not just as great as a character, but he's like by nature less like enjoyable than Nick, unless he's literally alone with Nick where he's like comfortable. But yeah, but okay. I love Charlie. Charlie has a special place in my heart for sure. Alex is watching it. Alex's favorite character is Elle. Elle's amazing.
So you are allowed to have other favorite characters than Nick Nelson and still.
Oh, Elle's a great choice. If you're gonna choose one, Elle's a great choice.
Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, most of them are great choices. You'd have to pick like the bully for me to be like, what? Like, why is he your favorite? But
what is wrong with you?
They're all good characters. There's one character that's definitely me because I'd like to think I'd be Nick Nelson, like the cool bisexual, but I'm actually Isaac, where I'm just sitting there with
Isaac, where you're sitting there with the book.
Well, everything else happens. I'm like, oh, that's me. Like,
I already know that's who I'm going to be.
Yeah.
So we just did, for videos that are on my channel, we just did a video where we talked about the Batman with our other friend Thor from Thor Wants Another Letter. I also have a video coming out tomorrow that's going to be 3 hours of reading, silent reading, since, Twitch has taken that away. It's technically not, I think it's technically more ASMR reading because I give you a little, for each clip, I kind of give you a little bit of a setup for it of what the environment is like to some extent.
So sorry, you can't read on Twitch anymore?
Oh, you can. It's just they had a silent reading category as an April Fool's joke, and then they took it away.
Oh.
So
that's kind of a dumb rule.
I mean, did you miss all of the BookTube jokes about, oh my God, BookTube has been doing this forever?
Yeah, because I'm Isaac sitting there with a book while things happen around me. I'm not listening.
What, you don't spend all day on Twitter while you're waiting for people to pick up the phone?
No.
My boss is like, you shouldn't be on your phones. I'm like, I'm literally sitting on hold and I cannot do anything else, or I will miss it if something important comes on. I'm sorry, that's how my brain works. So, but I can scroll through Twitter and see what drama is there while I'm waiting to see if someone does anything. Anyways, so yeah, well, see, I cannot listen to an audiobook and listen to the whole music at the same time. Especially since they keep coming on to talk to you, and then I have to be like, wait, what are they saying? Anyways, so are there any other? I just did I don't know, what videos have I done? We had the Batman video. I've been doing reading sprints. I have sprints coming up this Saturday that I should probably contact people about. I already know you're going to be there. You already, like, we don't have to, I don't have to contact you. I just send you links at this
We have to
point.
book a hotel, man.
We do need to do,
I'm leaving in like a week. Like
we do need to do that. So what else did we do that was interesting? Oh, we did our Books for Dogs videos that has 18 views and deserves more. And then was there anything else that was really interesting? Oh, and if you're into Bridgerton, I did an entire recommendations video based on the romance in Bridgerton, based on what you liked about the romance, and or what other people what people might have liked about the romance, and books that would fulfill that particular category of type of romance.
So, I didn't even watch Bridgerton, and I liked that video. It was a good video.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave me an emoji down in the comments that you think represents Dark Academia. If you want to let me know that you watched to the end of the video, but you don't feel like commenting. If you do feel like commenting, let me know. Either have you read, but let me know if you've read Dark Academia, and if you have, give me some recommendations, please. That would be great. Thank you. That's it. I will see you later when we will talk about
more wordy, nerdy things.